A strange twist in the murder of Hollywood publicist Ronnie Chasen. Police thought they had their man when suddenly he shot himself. Now police are working to make sure Chasen's death doesn't remain an unsolved mystery. They protect, they serve, but the LAPD doesn't agree on how they should protect and serve. The union wants more pay. The chief wants more police. The president of the LA Police Protective Union joins us tonight. Plus,
just wanna celebrate for all late nights, singing hail, light the candles.
I must admit, I had no idea those of us in the Jewish faith were so musical. Hanukkah never sounded so good. All the stories people are talking about and everything you need to know right now on The Filter.
Now I told you twice.
Hello again off the top. It's The Filter Forefront. It's our top 4 of the day, including, if you can't commit, maybe it's just in your genes. Oh, and we'll talk Tiger Woods, too. But we'll begin with this. If you thought you've heard the last about Prop 8, well, you're wrong. You're very wrong. The same-sex marriage case goes to federal appeals court Monday, but supporters have a problem, and their problem is this man, Circuit Court Judge Stephen Reinhardt. He'll be one of 3 judges hearing the appeal on Monday. Problem is, his wife has been actively involved in challenges to Prop 8, and she's the director of the Southern California chapter of the ACLU. Since she's obviously against Prop 8, some have said the judge might have a problem being impartial. He doesn't agree and today refused to remove himself from the case, saying, I will be able to rule impartially, and I will do so. Our contributors tonight, Emmy Award-winning journalist David Rees, and the editor of WitnessLA.com, Celeste Fremon. Our pictures are furnished by Skype. David, here we go. His wife is openly against Prop 8. He is hearing the appeal. Does the mere appearance of impropriety create a problem here?
Well, unfortunately, yes, it does, but I don't think it should. I mean, the truth is, if you want to dig into the background of almost any sitting judge, I'm sure you can find something in their relationships or in their background that could create that appearance. But, I mean, let's face it, we're supposed to have our judges be impartial and judge on the basis of the case and not legislate from the bench. But the problem here is that this is really becoming like the case of abortion. You know, it's the whole litmus test. You know, what is your feeling on abortion? We won't really come out and ask you, but we want to know how you'd rule on that if it came to the Supreme Court. That's what this is turning into.
Go ahead,
Here's the
Celeste.
crazy thing. First of all, I think it's preposterous, honestly. And I mean, I adore David, but on this, so what if he has a liberal wife? Here's what's laughable about it. It's a 3-judge panel, randomly chosen. One of the other justices, Randy Smith, is very conservative. So what? Graduated from BYU, so it's now being suggested this week that he's a Mormon, and the Mormons were among the biggest backers of Prop 8. So what? He also was the chairman of the Republican Committee for Idaho in the 90s. So
right.
What?
So, Celeste, you're making my point for me. Everybody has some bias if you want to look at it that way. But
Absolutely.
don't you think we have to trust that our judges at some point can be impartial?
Okay, now let me just jump in here. Let me jump in on both of you.
We agree completely.
Let me jump in. Okay, David, Celeste, you both make a valid point. Here's the issue. The judge is married to someone involved in the ACLU who's been involved in the Prop 8 situation. I'm not suggesting the judge can't be
But
impartial.
Fred, they're not part of this case. I mean, they have an opinion on it, but they're,
I'm not arguing, Celeste, but listen, I'm not suggesting he can't be impartial, and I will say he can be. But again, the question is, the mere appearance of impropriety, is that enough for him to have said, look, my wife's in this situation here, I'm going to step back, I don't even want to be involved in this?
Well, I mean, he gets challenged all the time for this sort of thing. But what it's all about is it's headed for the Supreme Court. And so where they should be really concentrating is Justice Kennedy, the swing vote.
It's true. And you know what? I would also argue that this is just an opportunity for them to throw this out there so that when the ruling doesn't go their way, they can say, see, we told you he's liberal. He's going to rule that way all along.
They did it with the earlier ruling saying that judge is gay. He can't be impartial.
Exactly.
If I had David Boies and Ted I'm doing a mental blank, Ted Olson, who are 2 of the best constitutional lawyers in the country against me, I would throw a Hail Mary pass to.
All right, let's move on. Now, picture this. It's 3 in the morning. You're sound asleep, and suddenly, barking dog. All right, maybe it'll stop. Then another starts. Then another. But don't get me wrong. I love dogs. But I wouldn't be happy if my neighbors had 10 barking dogs while I was trying to get my beauty sleep. Well, the more the merrier. Next week, the LA City Council may pass a resolution increasing the number of animals per residence. The new number, 10. Here's the problem. Really no way to enforce it. And the limit only refers to adult animals. So they can have as many puppies as they want. Some think this is another way to allow residents to breed and sell animals straight from their homes, increasing the number of animals in your neighborhood. Is that a good idea, Celeste?
You know, I don't think it's a big deal. Would I want a kennel next to me? No, I just got a brand new puppy, so I went to a lot of rescue kennels, but they were. When I think of a kennel, it's 20 or 30 dogs. This is 5 dogs, 5 cats, and last time I checked, cats don't bark. So, I mean, if one barking dog can drive you completely crazy. Although, Fred, you know, I live in Topanga Canyon. I've got horses behind me. We had some wild peacocks that somehow, and they were the noisiest things you'd ever want to hear.
We're talking about in a city as dense as the city of L.A. I mean, why is this a good idea? I just don't understand why we're even going down this road.
Big deal.
5 dogs.
Look, I have to tell you, there was a period of time.
If they're barking, then you got to do something.
Well, there was a period of time where we had 4 dogs. I'll be honest with you. There were Malteses. They were this big, okay? They didn't make a lot of noise. That's one thing. But if you have 5 dogs and 5 cats, I mean, you are running a bit of an animal.
You're a hoarder.
You know, I have the crazy friends who are rescuing animals, and they occasionally have 5 dogs running through there, and then they parcel them out and find homes for them. And
that's one thing. That's one thing. And I don't have
if
a
you're
problem
abusing
with that.
it, I don't have it.
God love the animal rescue people, but would you want that next door to your house, Celeste? I mean, really?
I live in Animal City, so you know I'm in a glass house.
No, you know what? If someone is rescuing animals, I think it's wonderful, and I don't have an issue with that. But if you're just going to have 5 dogs and they're going to breed dogs, and you're going to have puppies, I do have a problem with that. I just do.
I do too. Those are breeder hoarders, which is exactly.
Which brings me back to why are we even going down this road? It seems like what we have now works just fine. Let's just leave it.
All right. Well, we'll leave it with that. Let's move on. Tiger Woods, it's been just over a year since his infamous car accident and subsequent revelations. Tiger was prowling a bit more than he should have been. But in the past year, has Tiger grown? Has Tiger changed his stripes? Well, it's affected his golf game immensely. At least it had been. Today, he was in Thousand Oaks playing in his own tournament, a tournament he leads after the first round. But he's gone through quite a transformation personally. We asked several times on this show if he could ever repair his image. Tiger definitely has asked that of himself. He recently wrote this in Newsweek. Last November, everything I thought I knew about myself changed abruptly. I've been conducting myself in an artificial way. He went on to say, I can never truly repair the damage, but I can keep trying. I'm not the same man I was a year ago, and that's a good thing. But has Tiger done enough? In your mind, David, has he been able to rehab his badly broken image?
No. But you know what? I love his statement. Last November, my opinion of myself changed dramatically. No, Tiger, newsflash. Our opinion of you changed, okay? You knew all along what you were doing. We just found out about it last Thanksgiving. But no, he hasn't done anything to rehab his image. And the sad reality in America today is that he doesn't really have to. All he has to do is keep himself out of trouble to a reasonable extent and not step in it any further and then let it pass for a year, maybe 18 months, and pretty soon people don't care anymore. You know, I mean, that's just the way it is in today's media cycle. So I don't think he's done anything to try to really rehab except golf badly, you know, but I mean, he hasn't really done anything, and I don't really think he has to, and that's been his strategy, is just be. Just be. Don't be good, don't be bad, just be, and it'll go away, and that's usually what works.
You buy that, Celeste?
If he's a good athlete, that's all a lot of people are going to care about. Frankly, I don't care. Is he going to has he rehabbed himself? Absolutely not. But I care about what kind of athlete he is, and
which is piss poor lately.
Yeah, well, that's a problem. That's where he ought to put his rehab effort. But you know, sponsors are going to care because he can't be a role model at this point. But you know, some people are going to forgive him, other people aren't going to care. I still haven't forgiven Woody Allen, and I'm probably not gonna. And it's been some time, and I guess I'm grudge holding. And for running off. Yeah, well, you know, it's been a number of decades. You know, because he ran off with his stepdaughter, and I didn't like that. So, you know, it's an emotional thing. But if he can come back to being a great athlete, then nobody's going to care.
Right. Well, I think his statement speaks volumes about how he is interpreting all of this and what he feels about it, and he is still
so narcissistic.
Exactly. He is still trying to. My behavior wasn't really mine. Yeah, it was. In fact, it was all yours, buddy.
Yep.
I think that's fair to say. Now, you know, there's got to be a reason for Tiger's past behavior. Maybe this is going to explain it. You ever think that men were born to cheat? Ever think men just can't commit? A researcher at State University in New York says if you're promiscuous, it might be in your genes. Seriously. They did a study on this, brought in 181 young adults, asked them about their sexual behavior, and concluded that some people may very well have a genetic predisposition to, well, spread their genes. A scientific explanation for oversex stimulation. You buy that, Celeste?
Oh, probably. You know, I have two very good writer friends who've written famously about sex addiction, and I suppose I buy it. There apparently was a previous study where they watched voles, you know, little sort of mousy, ratty kind of gophery things. And with
who'd want to watch
similar
them? Who would
dopamine.
want to, Celeste, who would want to watch them have sex?
A good point. But I just think this is a great excuse for politicians. I mean, Elliot Spitzer really could have benefited from, you know, it was the 7R plus that made me do it. Same with Mark Sanford. And, you know, it's a great opportunity for Tiger Woods since he's not taking any responsibility anyway.
Celeste, don't you think this is an explanation and not an excuse, though? I mean,
No,
I think that's the most you can pull out of this, is that this might be an explanation for why you behave that way, but I just don't think you can use it as an excuse. Oh, my genes made me do it.
I completely agree. I mean, some people have a predilection for chocolate, but it doesn't mean you should start mainlining this stuff.
Exactly.
Personal responsibility is a good thing. And so that's, you know, does it exist? Oh, probably. But so what? You know.
But this is a part of the great American way right now. None of us are responsible for anything. You know, that's the beauty. In a few more years, none of us will have to be responsible for anything. It's all someone else's fault or our genes' fault, or, you know, it's not my fault. And so, you know, I think it's ridiculous. I mean, you know what? Yeah. You're still responsible for your behavior. Back to you.
Listen, that's how I feel as a university professor. Yes, I understand that you have every right to have all of these feelings and be having meltdowns, and you are really too stressed, and you still have to have your assignment in. Oh, well.
That's right.
Well, you know, you said some people say the genes are an excuse. No, taking off your genes would be the issue here, David. I want to point that out. All right, David and Celeste, great job. Have a great weekend. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Fred.